One of the most important things you need to know when starting a project in structure and architecture, it is that the most important part of BIM project, look, when you discover architectural and structural plans, a very important thing to do, and usually the coordinator does this, is to put the architecture and the structural plan on top of each other and report their interferences. The most important thing you should check in this process are the architectural and structural references. Usually in our project, we see a lot of interferences between the architecture and the structural plan. You should report these so that they will tell you which plan to put on top of each other. Usually they always tell you to put the structural plan on top of each other. That is the plan that are the structure, the established plans, and you should put them on top of each other. But there have been projects where they told us that the architecture plans are on top of each other. There was a project where we recently implemented in Revit model, which was a cancer center that had this problem in its architectural and structural plan. When we reported it, they told us that the architecture plans are close to each other than usual, so we should put the architectural plans on top of each other. So one of the most important things you should do is check the interferences of the structural plan. This is the architecture and the structural plan, the wall cuttings and the structural plan, whether it meets the architectural plans, the thickness of these may be different with each other. Or for example, if you put the structural plan on top of each other and you see, for example, a wall has an entrance with the window or a door, you should report these. For example, the height of that wall was at the entrance with the door or the window. Now, in this case, we usually, they have to clean the model making process. For example, if you want to put an architectural plan on top of each other, for example, check if the level and the grid and the architecture and the structural plan meet each other. For example, sometimes there is a grid in the structural plan and there's several millimeters, for example 1 centimeter apart. You should report this because grids are very important things. For example, columns are all represented by these grids. You should definitely put these on top of each other and report the interferences to the workers. For example, the work we do, let's say we want to put the layout on the architecture and the structural layers of the project on top of each other and see if they actually meet or not. For example, what do we do here? We come and lock the architectural layout and change the color completely. For example, I make the red, I color the structure and make it green. I put these two on top of each other and check them completely to see where they don't meet each other. Or for example, if the size of architecture and structural plan is different, you should report these. These are very important things. So one of the most important steps in the beginning of a project is that you apply the architectural and the structural plans together and report the interferences and inconsistencies. Let's move on to the next step, which is the architecture modeling. When our structure modeling is completed, let's move on to the architecture modeling. Now you can also start at the same time. For example, one of the guys on this architecture modeling team and one of the guys who is completing the structure, this is also possible. Now, in order to start our architectural modeling, what do we need? Of course, we need the plans of the phase 2 and the phase 1 architect, which is produced in CAD. Then we enter them into Revit and start our architecture modeling. And we have to link our models to this file so that we are modeling and it can be identified as in the interferences. Report them to the team and be able to apply them at that moment. This becomes one of the most important features of working in the BIM system. Now, what are the first steps that we want to do on the file? Just like what you do, for example, in a building, you come and pull this level first, then you come and rename these levels, then create these views of your choice, arrange the project units, and create a view template for each one of these views, and so on. Again, one of the most important things here is the group of the project browser. Guys, the group of the project browser in this architecture file, which is actually your main file, is very, very important. It may not be important in the building file because you model the building, link it into the architecture, and you're not going to transform the design of the building. But our main file is architecture file. Most of the work we do is in this file. Most of the views we have are in this file. So this group of this project browser is much more important than the file. Why? Because you have different views: furniture plans, skating plans, building dimension plans, wall plans. Each of these should have a separate group. That is, you come and first draw a series of levels, and according to that level, you view the project browser are produced. Then you come and rename your levels. What name do you usually give to the levels? For example, FFL for the first floor, FFL for the second floor. This is the name of the levels, right? Now, when you are renaming these levels, if you remember, the palette opens and says, do you want to give the same name to the view? Well, you always say, yes, give me the same name, so that when I model, I know which layer I want to go to. But when you want to make a sheet of these views with the same name in the sheet, like FFL for first floor, well, of course not. You have to copy any of these views, make your own group. For example, you copy this view, put the name of the group in the furniture plan. Now, what is the name of this view? Furniture plans of the first floor, furniture plans of the second floor. You copy it again, make another group. You can make dimension plans. What is their name? Furniture plans of the first floor, and so on. You copy again and you group plans. See how we are going to create different views. Now, guys, this is a very good project to start. In fact, you come and make your own views. Even you come and make your own sheets, but in the view in the sheet, see when the modeling is processing, usually one person at the same time comes with the modeling software and makes sheets. Now, maybe you are wondering what our model is not completed. How should we make these sheets? See, for example, as a project manager, what do I do? Usually when you guys are modeling, I simultaneously produce the sheets and put them into views, raw views, views that have not been drawn at all. I put them in the sheets, make a scale, make a template for it, and come back to the next sheet. I repeat the same thing and make the sheets. This means that when the modeling of the you guys is finished, it is not like, well, let's make the sheets now, put the views on the sheets, and actually come and put an extra time for this. When the guys finish their models, they go to the drawing. Why? Because the views already inside the sheets, the scales is correct. They just have to come and put their things in order and actually efface to them. But they're drawing and view, and that's it. See, these are the things that you have to do simultaneously. It's not like you first come and complete your model, then you say, well, let's go make them the name now, make the template for the views, make the sheets. No, these must be done evenly. Be careful about this. Well, now we are in the architecture file. What things do we model? This is also completely clear. We always start modeling the wall because the rest of the objects are usually connected to the wall. That is, they are connected to the walls. On top of that, you first come and model your shelf wall. Then you come and model your floors. You model your cabinets. You show the door and windows. You pull the pillars. You pull the ramps. You pull the curtains. You put the furniture, and finally whatever you need. And your architecture modeling is also complete. Now you go to the drawing. If necessary, you go back to modeling. Why? Because in a drawing, for example, in a section, the modeling intentions usually come out. On top of that, it's not like this that you start splitting the section. Then you say, well, when I come, I'll put this furniture and that's it. No, you see a series of modeling things. You see a series of modeling errors that you have to go back to the model, fix them, and then come back and continue your work here. So this is actually part of process of doing a project in the field of architecture and in a field of MEP, which Mrs. Kiani actually teaches you in this package. They teach you how to model and design plans. I wrote the whole thing here in the field of architecture, and you have to have the architecture files. You have to have the architecture plans. The first thing we did in the architecture discipline, now we do a lot of things here. You come here and actually start modeling your furniture elements. These guys always go forward in projects from the overall course of the project. Many people always ask them, what should I start with first? What should I model first? Is the first structure bad architecture? Or for example, what is it like at the same time? What I have explained to you is actually the process that we ourselves are going in an office. Now, we are moving forward and we want to do this same project. You will get to know the process of this project completely. For example, what do we do when we start building? First, what do we model with? Then what do we do in the next step? These are all in order, and it actually helps you to get to know the process of modeling and planning in project, and we can take and start the project from here without knowing where to start, what to prepare, what to deliver, and so on. This is the modeling phase. Let's move on to the next phase, which is coordination and control phase. Guys, after our modeling is completed, we usually bring all of these three files, architecture and interferences, into a software like Navisworks, and we do the modeling work to find the interferences, send the report to the different teams, and be able to forward them. Or one of the things that we do is that we come and produce the animation of the building steps in Navisworks, which is actually called a 4D simulation, which is one of the BIM's dimensions. How does this actually work? You come to the building timeline program that the control group provides you in the forms as an MSP file or the Microsoft project. You connect these to the objects that you have modeled in your environment. This is done in Navisworks, and this causes you to produce an animation that comes in accordance with the timeline program. I modeled your objects from the bottom to top. This is one of the things that we actually have in the training period. Don't worry at all. We have all the steps in this training package. We will teach you all of them. We will start from the beginning of building models. We go further. We go to architecture modeling. We go further. We go to interferences modeling. The next step is production of long-term plans. The next step in this modeling and building of an animation of this building steps in Navisworks that are very time-consuming for us. And we do this with Dynamo, which is much shorter and it takes way less time. This is one of the general stages of the projects in BIM. Now that we're familiar with this process, we will start working from the next session and move to the project forward steps by step.